Everybody, Bigfoot here with Bigfoot videos. So I'm just going to let the live run. I'm going to turn my mic off while I'm working so it's not super loud. But basically, I'm going to start cutting my 2x4s for the frame that I'm going to make for the sign. I've already got everything pre-measured, pre-cut, thought through, rethought through. So hopefully I haven't misthought this. Otherwise, I'll be going and buying some more wood. But basically, I've accounted for a 45-degree miter at each corner where the 2x4s will meet. And then I've accounted for the fact that the sign is 4 foot by 4 foot, and it'll be fitting inside of a groove that I'm going to cut. So that way, when the groove inside the frame, inside both, like there will be a board here, and then a board here, and then the groove will be on the inside of that frame here. And so from the inner part of that groove across the other inner part of that groove, and same thing for this one up to the top board. If you measure that distance, it will be 4 feet from that most inset point. So that's the plan. I'm going to go ahead and cut the miters down on them so that I can get 4 boards exactly the same. And then I'll groove those boards. That way I'm not having to groove all this extra wood that's unnecessary. And it's going to be 7/8 of an inch. So there's a lot of wood I'll have to remove. So I might have to run it through and work my way up to the 1/2 inch depth that I'm going to go to. So I'm just going to turn my mic off. If you like watching me work, just make sure to like, share, and subscribe. It'll help me get to 1,000 subscribers. Enjoy the show. All right, so I'm going to unplug my table saw and set the height. I'm going to go ahead and do this in 2 steps to get to my final depth for my dado blade to cut a groove in this side of the board. So I need to set my height. I want to go to 1/4 inch, and then I'll go to a 1/2 inch for my second pass. But I need to set my fence up to be 5/16 of an inch off the edge of this side. So that way this blade is essentially splitting the center of this board. And then I want to make sure that I'm running the face, what I plan on being the face of the board, through on the fence side like that. So that way any discrepancies in the groove all match up on all 4 sides. So I'm going to go ahead and raise this up, and then I'll put my fence on. Crazy thing is or a neat thing, this table saw is my papa's, and he doesn't really do any more woodwork anymore because he's just too old. He doesn't have a setup for it anymore since he moved, and so he gave it to me because he knew I do this kind of stuff, or was interested in doing it and capable. That's a 1/4 inch. This wood's pretty wet, it's pretty fresh, so it doesn't cut the easiest. And I'll turn my mic back off once I get once I turn this thing on, it'll be too loud. And I'll turn my mic back on once I get going again. I'm just doing one board right now. I don't want to like rush it and then end up screwing something up. There's other ways of doing this. You could hook up a router on this thing, clamp your board down and router it out. But I actually am not super skilled with the router. I feel like you have a little bit more control over the table saw. So I'm going to do 5/16 of an inch from the, and again, I have this unplugged. So I've got this is an old, super old table saw. So I've got it dialed in down here where I can put my measurement where I need it to be on this end. And then I always put a measurement on this end. And then I'll put a vice grip back here in the back to keep it where it needs to be. Because this keeper so what there's a tensioner right here that will cause this to cinch up and tighten the back end, but it doesn't have great holding power, but it helps between the vice grip. So this fence can't go that way anymore, so it can't widen out while it's vibrating and running, and it's not going to have a tendency to go that way because I'm going to have running my board through there. So what I'll usually do is I'll check my measurement at this edge of the blade, the back of the cut, and then front. And I made this the other day specifically for this dado cut, so I'd have I had no tolerance on the edges of the blades. So I've never actually used this. This is all my dado blades. So we're going to see how it goes. I've used my dados before in smaller grooves, but never with this thick of a cut. So it should work fine. It's basically brand new. The inner chippers are brand new. All right, here I go. Turn my mic off. one down, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. So I'm cutting this thing just slightly oversized groove because this just treated lumber, it's rough cut, type stuff. And it has a tendency to move on you. And so I wanted to oversize it a little bit so when I put my sign in that groove, I should be able to worm it in there with a little bit of tolerance on it. And if it warps too much, then I'll be screwed basically, and I'll have to go get another piece of lumber. But it should be fine. And if I have to, I'll stack it so I can straighten that piece out. Put some heavy stuff on it, weight down the middle a little bit while it's continuing to dry out. But other than that, yeah, I just have to do that 7 more times. What I've done so far, I'm not going to film it just because I don't like to rush, and I don't have time to do them all right now. So, but this kind of stuff I do is just behind the scenes. You can see I'm filming for my regular content, kind of what I do, how I do it. I'm not a big, I don't have millions of subscribers or anything like that, but this is my process. This is how I do things. And so, but mainly I just kind of like to film this kind of stuff because I like filming it. But two, I've learned so much from YouTube, and I thought it would be a good idea to teach what I've learned from YouTube, things I've learned from other past professions, and just my general working through things, learning things on my own, things I've learned from other people in other professions, so forth and so on. So, but a lot of my stuff will be time lapses and things of that nature. So if you're watching, make sure to smash the subscribe button. Again, I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. It would be awesome if I could actually make money doing this instead of just only doing it for fun. It'd make it even more fun if I could make a little money. So, but nonetheless, like, share, and subscribe. Appreciate y'all. Thanks.